Okay, we're live now. All right, so we're gonna wait for the first viewers to come in. And by the way, this webinar will be recorded, so you will find it on YouTube right after the recording. We'll upload it, and let's wait just a couple of more minutes before starting off with the presentation. So how's it going over there, Sujan?
Oh, it's going great. It is scorching hot here in Austin, Texas. It's like 100 degrees, but I am nice and cool in my office.
That's great. Air conditioning always works, right?
Yep.
All right. I'm from my home office right now. I'm in Italy. I usually work from Brazil. That's where Content Tools is based. But now I'm back for summer, working remotely, and it's pretty hot here as well. It should be around 30 to 33 Celsius. I don't know how that converts into Fahrenheit. Actually.
That's similar temperature here, so I totally get it. Feel your pain.
Okay, we have our first viewer coming in. I guess we can wait another couple of minutes to see if there's anyone joining you, and then get it started. So the content repurposing is a pretty cool topic. Like, if we can start blabbing about it a little bit, it's definitely something that can help you maximize the ROI you get from your content. Because I mean, one of the hardest thing is to always come up with fresh and original content, and it's a waste when you have good ideas that perform well or that don't perform due to poor distribution or bad luck or anything else, and you just use them once. So content repurposing helps you reuse them, making them feel fresh, and that's definitely a great weapon for content marketers.
Yep.
So, yeah, please go ahead.
I was going to say, I'll go through how I personally use it in some examples. I've been kind of sharing my stuff on Medium, LinkedIn. There's so much potential to promote and reuse one piece of content. Your job is not done when you press publish. There's a lot more to it.
Absolutely agreed. So I think we have 3 viewers already. Just in the meantime, I'm actually going to send another reminder to our mailing list, telling them we're live right now. How do you usually do that, Sujan? When you start your webinars, do you send another email blast saying, "Hey, we're live," or you just send a reminder a few 30 minutes before? How do you do that?
Yeah, I typically send something around like the morning of, and then again, somewhere between 30 to 5 minutes before. Sometimes I go as soon as live. So, there's multiple ways to do it, but since we're using Google Hangouts, I think another reminder is probably good. And then for those of you guys that are on now, a few of you guys, if you tweet at me, I will save those questions to answer at the end during the Q&A section. So you can tweet at me at Sujan Patel and Content Tools, and use the hashtag content republishing. But if you tweet at me as well, I'll save that for later too.
Yeah, exactly. So at the end of the webinar, we're going to have a 10 or 15 minutes Q&A, depending on how many questions we get. And so feel free to tweet us and ask anything you want about content repurposing. So I guess it's 6:05 here in Italy. What time is it over there?
It is 11:05 here in Austin.
11:05 in Austin. So I guess we're good to go. Before getting started with the real thing, I would like to introduce our host, Sujan Patel. First of all, it's an honor and a pleasure to have you here. It's one of the best marketers of the last few years. One of the main innovators in the field. Is a content marketer, entrepreneur, co-founder of Content Marketer.io, Narrow, and it's helped many companies. I guess more than 100. You'll tell me later. Like grow their business using marketing, growth, hacking, SEO, and so on. So companies like Salesforce, Expedia, and many others. And he's also a great writer as well. Has been featured on Entrepreneur, Inc., Wall Street Journals, Fast Company, and other major publications. So as you can understand, we're going to have a lot of things to talk about. He's going to share with us his best practices and secret tactics that he used to help those companies grow and grow his own company. So without further ado, Sujan, the word to you.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for the warm welcome and kind introduction. I do a lot of things. It's funny. People tell me to focus, and my response is, what if I like to do multiple things? I don't like focusing. So I'm going to talk today about content republishing and how to best leverage one piece of content to really stretch it out multiple ways. So what we're going to go into is really 3 big parts, and at the end we'll have time for a Q&A. These are the ways I personally leverage it. It works incredibly well for B2B, but you can apply it for almost any industry. And I want to share how I use it. So I'll kind of go through examples as well. And I will kind of just talk out loud what are places you can go or URLs you can go to visit afterwards to check what I'm talking about. So the 3 big parts of the presentation is really going to be around rebranding your flops. Look, all your content, great content could not work for many reasons, and we're going to talk about what to do with that. We're going to talk also about repurposing your good content, the rest of your content, how to best do that, and then really go into syndication to gain the most exposure. And syndication is very important because there are lots of other networks that can help you expand your reach. As David mentioned, I'm the co-founder of Content Marketer IO and Narrow, both tools for marketers and helping them grow. I also I started a new marketing agency called Web Profits. The URL is webprofits.agency. And in my 13 years of marketing, I've helped 137 companies. Actually, the number is now probably closer to 150.
Nice.
And so I keep tabs because I want to know what's working, what's not. Like, I want to know the feedback. And honestly, I work pretty hard because I'm generally passionate about what I do. And so to me, it's fun, it's entertaining, and it's gratifying to see somebody grow. The numbers just go up and to the right. And I do a lot of blogging. My goal in life is to share everything I know. Some of the sites here listed. Personally, I write on my blog, sujanpatel.com, but I also write for Inc., Forbes, Wall Street Journal, and a lot more. I write around 6 articles a week, and it's fun. I love what I do. Hopefully you can tell during this presentation. So look, at the end of the day, before we jump into everything, I want to start with just stating the obvious that might not be so obvious to most people. Some of your best blog posts may be behind you, but doesn't necessarily mean you can't reuse it. It's gone. Don't think because you published it a year ago you can't do anything with it. No, you can definitely reuse it. And again, we're going to talk about how, but I want to talk about 3 things real quick. 1, repurpose it into other formats. 2, update the content. Simply add more detail and republish it as if it was new. I guarantee you actually no one will notice because you add more information. No one knows. Re-email your list. Even if it's old, doesn't mean it's not accurate anymore. And if it's not the most up to date, update it. The last thing is add more detail. Not saying update it. I'm saying expand it. If let's say it's a blog post, turn it into a PDF, turn it into an ebook, make it more in depth. And those are the 3 common ways you can use it, but I'm going to go into a lot more. So as I mentioned before, not all of your content is going to be successful. In fact, most people's content, most of it's not successful. There's few that are very successful, but just because it didn't work before doesn't mean you can't use it again. So I suggest, 1, you simply re-promote it. And if you make sure you don't just do this for every single piece of content, only promote the ones that you think that could do well again, and maybe it didn't work because of timing, or you didn't do the best job on promotion or whatnot. At the end of the day, social media, an average tweet lasts, I believe, 8 seconds. So if you promote something 3 months later, no one's going to remember, frankly. And if it didn't do well the first time, it's almost as good as if it was brand new, because no one really saw it and not enough people saw it. So one mistake I did is, for the first 5 years of my blog, SujanPatel.com, I didn't work on building an email list. I kind of just overlooked that. And it's mainly because I was doing this on the side. I had a lot of other things going on, insert 500 other excuses here. But bottom line is, I didn't build an email list until about 2015. The beginning of 2015, I started really aggressively building an email list. And that audience on the email list didn't see all of my last 5 years of content. So all I did was email them. When somebody subscribed, I emailed them a welcome email that says, thanks for subscribing. Here are some of my favorite posts. And I literally emailed them my 5 favorite articles. Some of them were flops. They no longer are flops. They're doing well. They do get shared pretty regularly because it's the first email you get. I also manually emailed people that subscribe to the list old content. Instead of writing new content, I repurposed old content. One of my first articles on the blog was around SEO and how you can optimize your meta description to increase the click-through rate. And that was a very good article. I think everyone can leverage it, but it didn't do well because that was my first article. I didn't have any network or any brand. Now I send that to everybody who subscribes. It is a 4-year-old article, but it still applies today. So 4 years old doesn't mean it's dead. I updated it a little bit, of course, but you could do it without updating it. So definitely rebrand your flops. Remember, if it didn't work before, it may be because your headline sucks. So change the headline. Most of the time, it's the simple things that make things not work. You didn't do a good job promoting it. Your headline sucked, or could be better, or frankly, timing, bad luck, right? I remember one time I published something. I was speaking actually at a conference a few weeks ago. This is horrible timing, and this is not something I'm happy about. But at the same time, there was the Nice attacks. What can you do if you've planned all your marketing efforts and there's a mass, there's a mass killing? I'm sorry, it definitely sucks for. I feel bad, but here I am like an idiot promoting content when people are dying, and so
yeah, I mean that's one of the biggest issues, the fact that we're sharing actually our audience attention with everything else, including bad news, tragedies, or something else. So it's a big struggle.
Yeah, exactly, and you can't control it. There's no way you can control it. So afterwards, I'm going to re-promote it in a few weeks, and you can see a lot more social media around the presentation I did. I made sure I recorded it and kind of got the promotion after the fact. So because I didn't promote it during the live session doesn't mean it's out, right? Just as this webinar, even though not everyone is able to make it, even though a lot of people signed up, we're still going to promote it afterwards so that everyone has more access to it. And frankly, I've seen webinars do better after the fact than live. So this is a perfect example of how to repurpose. All right, I talked about this a little bit already, but enhance your post, right? We want to repurpose. You want to republish as if this is a new article. Add some details to make it new, right? What I mean by that is add some images. So I did this a lot at my last company, wheniwork.com. If you look at the blog, the When I Work blog, you'll see the original post were stock images, and then we hired a graphic designer, to create custom GIFs, and so the main header image is actually moving. We added some design layers around each of our best articles, or even some of our not so good ones. But at the end of the day, enhance your blog posts. I regularly go back through my analytics every month, every quarter, and every year. I do this at those intervals, and I look at what got the most traffic. I actually look at the blog post, and I think to myself, I ask myself, can this be better? And if it was better, what will it do for me? The minimum thing I do is I add call to actions later on to subscribe to the email list or check out new articles, or I more aggressively monetize it or aggressively promote my email list. But I also add more images. I add embed tweets. I add more supporting document information to the article. And that doesn't necessarily need to be very fancy. Simple images can make the article go a long way. And when again, my old articles are the ones that actually get more traffic than my latest ones. And so it's important to go back and make your top articles, give them the experience of your latest articles. Because 3 years ago or a year ago, you probably don't do what you did. You probably weren't doing what you're doing now. So go back and do that and enhance it. Now, the other thing I do is I test new ways to promote content. What does that mean? I embed click to tweet buttons. Sometimes I've done this. Well, now I do this for every article I promote. But again, like my old content, I didn't have it maybe. Or people, after I promoted it, started saying nice things or share the article in a way that's, oh, wow, that's actually a good way to, that's a better title. Why don't I just go and add that as a click to tweet in the top of the article? If, for example, Facebook is driving you a lot of traffic, go back and add ways you can get it shared on Facebook. Go back and add tweetable buttons. When I remember when I first started blogging, I had more of a focus on some of these like Pocket and some of these smaller like kind of bookmarking sites, and those worked really well early on because they were actually driving lots of traffic. But that changed to more social, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn buffer. So I revised what I had and added those. When Buffer added the ability to share via an image, I added more images. So remember, a blog post, a content, an article, those are living organisms. And as long as they're getting some traffic or have high quality and they just don't get the traffic they deserve, you should be continuing to promote them. Now, here's the thing. When you're reusing content, if you're going to reuse it in other places, and I'll get into that in a bit, but if you're reusing content, make sure you are SEO compliant. The simplest thing is, if you're going to post exactly the same article somewhere else, or it's 3/4 the same, on the new article, use the tag rel canonical, and what that will do is give you and link back to the original article. What that will do is will give the original article the SEO value. So now, let's say you repurpose it in many other areas, 4 or 5 sites, it's gotten syndicated. Well, make sure each of those has a rel canonical and it gives the value back to the first one. So if they get links, they get shares, it's all giving you more ammo to one singular source. If you don't do this, you will have major issues. I remember a few years ago, Entrepreneur and Kissmetrics both had issues because they were syndicating content all over the place. And so it's important to not dilute yourself, or else you're going to run into major issues. All right. So like I said earlier, your old content didn't work. Why don't you just bring it back to the top and don't even say anything, right? So you can, let's say you took an old article and just change the publish date. That works. I guarantee you it works. Most people will not even notice. Try adding some images. I already mentioned this before. Images and making a better looking user experience works much, much better. All right. And, as I mentioned in the introduction, let your blog post or article take a new shape. Same information can be shared in different formats without making it so tiring. And what I mean by that is guest posts, right? So there's an article I recently published. Actually, it'll go out on my newsletter tomorrow on the definition of growth marketing. I wrote a guest post on growth marketing conference. I think it's growthmarketingconf.com, and it's on what growth marketing is and how to build a framework. Well, that presentation, that article is actually repurposed from my presentation I gave at a talk recently in London. It literally covers almost identically what the presentation was about. What took me 45 minutes to say, I wrote into a blog post. Look, some people will prefer blog posts. Some people will be able to see you speak, to use both. Squeeze your content. and this is something that people feel like, oh, I might be over marketing it. I might be over promoting it. No, that is frankly bullshit. Excuse my language, but I believe strongly in repurposing and leveraging every little drop out of content. Start simply by sharing and repurposing your best content. From there, you can kind of go down the bottom of the list, and that simply means look at your analytics and look at your top visited site. What I do, and different formats you can republish your content or repurpose your content, would be an infographic, right? Turn your content into an infographic. Turn your content into a white paper or an ebook. If you look at sujanpatel.com/customer-delight, you will see a customer delight HTML, beautiful looking page that also has a downloadable PDF, but all that content is actually from a workshop I gave, and that turned into a blog post. And the blog post was so long that most people didn't go past 20-25% of it because it was 10,000 words, and written content it's really hard to absorb. I mean, even in 5 minutes, that thing took about 20 minutes to read if you really read it. And so what I did is I just repurposed it into an ebook because, frankly, it has a better chance of succeeding and getting people's eyes. Video, if you look at my my YouTube channel, it is all exactly the same content, and I'm not shameful of it. I will proudly admit this. It's the same content I write about, but some people may want to read 20 minutes on a topic. Some people may want a 5-minute overview. For those who want a 5-minute overview and then they want to read more in detail, that format is for them. Video is for them. Some people, frankly, even if it had 20 minutes an article, they still only skim it and they may not be able to absorb it. The other thing about video, which is great, is that when you see someone's face, when you see me talk, I'm moving my hands. You can't see me, or maybe you can, but you see the enthusiasm. You can hear my voice go up and then down, and you can see me get excited, and then I can go monotone. So you can see my voice, and obviously when I'm doing this and non-intentionally, it's more authentic, but that is the power of video. In fact, video for me, and it's less competitive because there's a lot more content written, because everybody could write content. Video takes a little bit more effort. 2, video shows that emotion, like I mentioned. And 3, video has much, much higher engagement. In fact, my engagement is 5x that of written content, meaning if I have 1,000 views, I get 5 times more engagement, 5 times the amount of people commenting on that, and then my blog. So, and the written content. And that's because I'm having a conversation. That's because when I record the video, I say, hey guys, and I point to the camera looking at you. You guys are looking at the screen, and I say, ask me a question. I challenge you to do this, or I want your feedback. And what do people do? They leave their comments, they leave feedback, they ask questions, they call me out, and I'm fine with that. Another way is SlideShare. Again, people understand things differently. Every time I do a talk, I submit to SlideShare and share it out. So you can do the exact same thing with your content. And the great thing about SlideShare is they have a whole new network. They have their own millions and millions of users. And now that it's bought by LinkedIn, you have the power of LinkedIn. It's a whole new network, right? That gives you exposure to people you would probably never get exposure to. And the last one around formats to use is email newsletter, right? Like I said, people probably missed it. It's safe to assume that if you wrote an article 6 months ago, people that subscribed to your blog yesterday or subscribed to your newsletter yesterday did not see that article. That's the bottom line. But shouldn't they see that article? You can go as far as what HubSpot does, and this is awesome. My friend Anum that works at HubSpot runs the digital strategy for the Sidekick, which is now HubSpot Sales. What they do is when somebody signs up for their newsletter, They sent them a drip campaign of their 5 best articles, and then the latest one that gets sent out doesn't reach them until maybe a month later. And so everyone that signs up all sees their best content, and you might as well show them your content because you spent a lot of time on it. But again, email is a new, different feeling. I talked to a friend, Rob Whaling today of Get Drip, and he was like, every day at the end of my day when I'm commuting home, I listen to a podcast. So take your best content and turn it into a podcast. Why? Because you get the people that are commuting, and they may not ever read because they don't have the time, right? Rob is the CEO of a company, a multi-million-dollar company. He doesn't have time to read all these blog posts, but he does have time when he's commuting to listen to something. So you might capture them then. Again, infographics, again, different ways to share it. You can embed it. You don't want to have all the same content that you do in a written form. An infographic is not an excuse to turn your wordy article and put words over a graphic. No, it's to take the best information, to take the best steps, and to simplify it. It's very, very important. Don't just copy content over images. That's not an infographic. That's called shitty, half-assing infographics, and they will not work, and you'll get the same results or no results. Again, a PDF is probably the easiest way for you to just literally save that file and add a header and footer of your company logo or your company mission, the colors, whatnot, and simply save it. You can go a step further and get it designed. There's a company called thecontentupgrade.com. They will do some of this work for you. I think it's like $100-$150 each content upgrade. And simply, they will turn your blog post into a PDF that's nicely designed. So try that. Now, if you write 4 or 5 articles that may be on the same theme, you can turn it into an ebook, right? It'll be a full-length ebook. In fact, again, the Customer Delight Playbook that I recently published that you'll get an email tomorrow from is exactly that. It is 4 or 5 blog posts that and a few talks that I gave over the last year that tells everybody in a full comprehensive guide exactly what customer delight is. I've already talked a lot about videos, so I'll skim over this. Remember, now I want to talk about not what to do on the video, how to record the video. So Wistia has a really great blog talking about all these recording tips, video editing tips, how to look professional. I try to simplify things as to the basic point. My first few videos, actually up until 3 months ago, all of my videos were recorded on an iPhone 5S. It was my old iPhone when I got my iPhone 6S, and I used it to record everything. It's really easy. Get a tripod. Make sure you have a mic that is clipped onto you. It's called a lapel mic. And all you need to do is, the key elements of a good video is, 1, that there's good lighting. 2, good sound, hence the lapel mic that's plugged in. And 3, it's short, concise, and the video frame is on you. You don't have too much borders around you, meaning your head should be close to the top of the video. If it's too far, you have, like, if you're recording a whole section and you're only one small piece, the audience is not focused on you. So how to get good lighting? Wistia blog, check that out. But you pretty much need good lighting on the left of your face and the right of your face and behind you. Honestly, a white wall will do. You don't need to get fancy. And to have good, stable video, you literally just need an iPod, an iPhone, and a stand to clip your iPhone on and literally start recording. It's that simple. The other places you can use video, one is YouTube. So I'm a big fan of that because YouTube, guess what? It's the second largest search engine in the world, especially with something like Yahoo that just got bought out by Verizon. They're not going to increase their share. They're going to decrease their share. So YouTube is a great place to show your videos. I should probably remove Meerkat because they stopped doing this, but Periscope, Facebook Live, Vimeo, or Facebook Live, Periscope are both great places to have live video, even Snapchat. Snapchat is another great place to show your video. These are shorter videos. These are live on demand, but they work really, really well. Vimeo is another place to host your video. If you don't want to use YouTube, Yahoo Screen and Vidler are other great places. But again, put your video all out there and make it link back to you. At the end of the day, it's all just a good link back to you. Slideshare.net, again, I talked about this already. The great thing with this is you have a whole, I believe it's 100 million plus users that have access to this. And if SlideShare ever features you on the homepage, you will see a lot of traffic to your site. And with SlideShare, you can even get email addresses. So after like slide 5, you can prompt like, hey, put your email in to get the rest of this, or just prompt an email opt-in. So great way to collect emails off your site. And if you look at if you go on SlideShare and Google my name, you'll see thousands of views on my slide. I don't need to go too much into the newsletter. We already talked a lot about this. Now the last thing I want to leave is syndication. There's a bit of an echo, so I'm thrown off a little bit. But at the end of the day, don't only rely on your network to promote your content and get the word out. You can syndicate to other places. If you look at the big sites like Business Insider, Huffington Post, if you look at the bottom, some of the content, it says originally posted here, or almost links to source, and it says the article. If you look at the source or that link, it is the original article, and they just approve syndication rights. And if you use Rel Canonical, the main article gets it. Business to Community, Marketing Insider Group, both accept syndication. Huffington Post accepts syndication. Just reach out and establish relationships. All right, now other places to promote your content and get your content out there. Medium. Look at my Medium, medium.com/@Sujan Patel. All of my content is republished from Inc., Forbes. All my best content gets republished there, and it gets other new network exposure to this Medium audience. It works really well. I suggest you do the same thing. Reddit. You'll be surprised how much content is actually on Reddit. Not people submitting cat videos or funny memes or politics. I'm talking about actual full life posts, and you can get hundreds, thousands of visitors if your content is uploaded. So try promoting an abridged version of your article onto Reddit. Now, not just submitting your article to Reddit, that's a different thing. I'm saying actually submit it as if it was an article on the self-publishing section. Examiner.com, they accept content. All you have to do is apply. LinkedIn, with the acquisition of Pulse, LinkedIn has a Medium-like blog and content syndication area or content network. So you get in front of your LinkedIn audience, and then you can even get featured in the LinkedIn Pulse section, which will drive thousands and tens of thousands of views. I've been doing this for quite some time, and you'll see again, the same stuff I promote on LinkedIn or Medium and Entrepreneur will also go on LinkedIn, because it's a whole new audience. It's the best way to get my existing audience exposure and the LinkedIn audience that probably won't view these other places. So definitely give that a try. And that's it, guys. That's my presentation. We'll open up to some Q&A.
All right. Thanks a lot, Sujan. That's a lot of juice squeezed into like 35 minutes.
Sorry,
a lot of information. No, it's definitely great stuff. A lot of content, and so definitely great tips about content repurposing. Because as we were mentioning at the very beginning, it's all about trying to make the most of your best works, right? Because that things get gone wrong for many reasons, and the concept of create it and they will come is just something that doesn't exist. So you really need to make an extra effort to put your content in front of your users. And speaking of this, I have a few questions here. one from Michael that is asking, what are the top 3 variables that impact your content success? So what are the things that you have noticed, like during all these years, that affect the most the way your content performs?
So what's the 3 variables that are actually affecting it? Is that correct?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So one is my reach, right? It is, think about it this way. How many people are familiar with my brand, either me personally or any of my companies, before the content hits them? Why this is important is that they will literally think differently of you. If they know who you are, you instantly have trust. If they don't like you, you instantly have a negative thing. You have to dig yourself out of a hole. Why it's so important that, and this goes to content marketing and being consistent. When you're consistent with your content marketing, you're appealing to people who have heard of you, and then you don't have to establish trust. If you don't have the trust, you have to establish that in the beginning. So that means visually. So if you're just starting off with content marketing or you haven't been so consistent, you have to earn that trust. That means in your content, you have to give more examples. On your website, you have to have more trust symbols. You can't be as aggressive on email collections, or you have to add things that show you actually know what you're talking about. The second thing is simply content promotion. I want everybody here that's listening to it live and the recording to Google 100 ways to promote content. There are 2 articles there, one from me, one from CoSchedule. They have 105 ways. I created one on 100. Literally, out of the 205, probably there's 175, 150 unique ways to promote content. Choose one, choose 2, choose 5. Do it. Promote your content. Most people spend all their time writing and not enough time promoting. I spend 20% of my time writing, 80% of my time promoting the content. Right now, I've got, of that ebook that took me a month and a half to write, the customer delight ebook, I've got 4 or 5 months literally of promotion plans that I'm doing. And you don't need to go that far, right? That's a daunting, that's me where I am. But start with 1 or 2. And let me be clear, tweeting it, sharing it on social media from your accounts, that's not promoting it. That is the bare minimum you should be doing in anything you do in life, right? Like I'm saying, think about real ways to promote it. And the last thing is understand your audience. Who are you trying to write for? There's too much content out there, or too many people that are creating content because they saw it working elsewhere. They read something that was great. They listened to a webinar and they got tips. But the best tactics, the best strategies in the world will not work if you're writing for the wrong person. So figure out who your right audience is and write for them. For me, I'll tell you up front, my audience is twofold. I talk to founders, startup folks, C-level executive and employees, meaning chief operating officer, chief product guys, chief marketing officer at startups that are in the $0 range to $100 million. That's my audience, one section, one persona. The second persona is marketing managers, marketing directors. These are people who are lower level, maybe at larger companies, but they have decision-making power. And then the third one is VP CMOs, VP of marketing or VP of product. Maybe the same companies they're at, but they have power to spend. They can put their foot down and say, I want to spend money. Why target those guys? Because they're more likely to buy my services. I don't create content, and if you see topics I write, they're going to be for one of these 3 guys, or one of the girls too, right? One of these 3 personas. And sometimes you'll see basic content. Well, frankly, because if you think how much knowledge a CEO has on marketing, it might not be the greatest, but you'll also see some that's inspirational content. It may be motivation, or maybe tactical, but just understand who you're writing for, and then adjust your pitch, adjust what you write. So those are the 3 ways I would, 3 ingredients that I look at when promoting content, or sorry, when even thinking about content marketing and writing content.
That's great. That's great. Thanks a lot. And we have another question from Sarah that links back to something you said before. Is there such a thing like over promoting?
Kind of, but not really. There's a term, there's a saying, or not saying, Heath and Shaw once, in a conversation told me, it's only clickbait content if somebody clicks on the article and they're like, oh, I felt like misled, or I felt like this did not live up to the title. Well, if it lived up to the title, let's say you got somebody in and it was clickbaity headline, but it was an awesome article and people like walked away thinking, oh my, this is awesome. That's not clickbait. That's just good copywriting. So same thing goes with promotion. If you are oversaturating your network and that's all you're doing, that's a problem. Meaning, if you are sharing it on social media and that's all you're sharing, an article, that is too much promotion, because you're only talking about yourself. You should be talking about other people. If you're doing Facebook ads, no big deal, right? You can go infinitely because you're reaching new audience. So I think it's only if you're doing too much self-promotion and you're not giving enough value. But if you're doing self-promotion and you're giving value, that's just giving value to your audience from yourself. Like, that's just doing good marketing. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that unless you're only talking about yourself and that self that you're talking about doesn't have enough value to give. If it's good and somebody can walk away with it, it's not too self-promotional.
Okay. So it's basically, it doesn't matter how loud you shout as long as you provide value with what you're saying.
Yeah, and you shout to different areas. Like, for example, I will promote something on Medium. I will promote something on LinkedIn. I will promote something on my blog. Those are 3 different audiences. I can promote them almost all the same just to that audience. There's very little overlap between Medium and LinkedIn, in my opinion, or at least my audience on LinkedIn and my audience on Medium. So I can promote all 3 things just as hard, because my blog is going to go into my newsletter, my email list. It's going to go on Growth Hackers. It's going to go on Inbound. It's going to go all these random places that are very different than where LinkedIn would end up.
So let me ask you a question here about this audience differentiation. How do your audience on your blog, Medium, and LinkedIn different from each other? So do you know exactly what are the main traits that distinguish them from each other, from one another, or how do you know the difference?
Yeah. So look, there's no right answer. For me, because I'm going after B2B and in the marketing sector of B2B, I can tell a difference very, very easily. But look at the categories. Look at what else has been out there. If you look at Medium, there's some categories. If you're a mechanic, well, that might not be the best source for you. So look at other examples and determine if they're right for you based off what's out there now.
Okay.
I can tell you that LinkedIn is not the greatest for technical articles, because frankly, people are on there trying to look for jobs. People are trying to connect with people. If it's a 20-minute article, no one's going to read that. So it's shorter, sweeter. Medium, you can get away with more thought leadership and things like that because people are on there for fun.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Okay. Yeah. So it's really based on the people that are there already. So you craft your content based on the kind of, it may be the same person that hangs out on LinkedIn, your blog, and Medium as well, but it's on each of those channels is looking for something different. Is that right?
Yep. And they're already, you have to just do your research on the audience. And if that audience matches your personas you're targeting, then great. That's a good way to do it. If not, then don't do it, right? So don't try to be everything for everyone. That's going to just cause you to be in a lot of places and not get the most impact.
Absolutely, absolutely, totally agree with that. So our time is up right now. I would thank a lot, Sujan, if you have anything else to say to close.
No, I think that's it. And if you guys have more, if you want to see more of my content, just go to sujanpatel.com. I share everything I know, and I'm big on YouTube now. I'm creating 4 or 5 videos a week and publishing 1 a week, but creating a lot more. So check out that YouTube page, and you can just Google it.
Thanks a lot again, Sujan. This webinar, of course, will be live on YouTube. We're going to share with everyone the link to access it. And also, we are going to turn it into a blog post, of course, following the principle of content repurposing, and distribute it on different channels, and as we learned today. By the way, there's one channel that I would like to mention as well. It's inbound.org. That it's definitely a great source of traffic for marketers, of course. If you guys are in the marketing space, inbound, it's a great source of qualified
traffic.
traffic.
I'm wearing an inbound shirt.
Yes, that one. That's the last slide. Your t-shirt is the last slide. All right. Again, thanks a lot, everyone, for watching and for asking questions. Feel free to keep asking, tagging us on Twitter, at Sujan Patel, at Content Tools, hashtag Content Repurposing. And we're going to answer questions even later on. Ask in the comments. We're going to be interacting with you guys. Thanks a lot, Sujan. It's been great. I'm sure we're going to have other webinars like these and keep collaborating.
My pleasure. Thanks again.
Goodbye. Have a great day.